very good morning. Hope you all are good and you all are safe. Start the recording and let me share the screen. All right. So welcome to the tutorial number 6. It's about entity relationship diagram. So what is an entity relationship diagram? It is a conceptual or a graphical representation of the design of your database. So whenever any company or any problem comes to you about a database, for the design of the database, the first thing that you do is to draw figures, draw a concept map of a database in which you design the concept of your tentative design of your database, how the database would look like. And these are kind of a figure. So it is a graphical representation. It's a concept map. A well-defined ERD, a well-defined concept map of your database design pretty much gives you the idea how your database looks like, how many entities are there, and what are the attributes inside the entities, and how the data will flow from one entity to another entity. It gives us you the pretty much idea. Now, so this tutorial will familiarize ourselves with the ERD components and help us to give the insight and knowledge how to design a database, a concept map of our database design with graphics by making figures, and it will help us to with the concept of the ERD. So the first thing, so let me walk through. There are 4 questions in tutorial number 6. I will walk through the questions. I will do roughly 3 questions in front of you, roughly, just to give you an idea, just to give you, provide you a basic foundation help. And for the question number 4, I will not do at all. I will leave that to you. Whenever, if some students who are very new in designing ERD, my advice to them would be, we have 10-step process for us we can use if you want to design an ERD. Make sure you use those 10 steps. The first time when you will use it, it will take a lot of time. The second time, it will be less time consuming. The third time, it will be extremely less time consuming. And then as we know that practice makes a person perfect. So once you will practice, then you will be in a very good stage, at a very good level, that by just reading a given problem statement, you will be able to directly draw ERD without having to go into the steps. But if you're first timers, like if you're new, do not skip that, because those 10-step process for designing ERD will help you to minimize errors. Otherwise, you will draw something else which is completely irrelevant and not for use. Now, let me go to question number 1 of the tutorial. So question number 1, you have a figure in front of you which gives you an idea or the business rule of this figure. And this is like a driver and a truck. There are 2 entities and there's many-to-many relationship. And how does this works? I mean, how is the what could be the business rule for it? The business rule is very straight. From the figure we can see, we can write that a one driver can drive multiple trucks, and one truck can be driven by multiple drivers. If you think about this diagram and this business rule, which I just narrated, and try to think from a practical point of view, this is very much true. Let's say if I replace truck with buses, and then let us imagine we have this Kowloon city bus service in Hong Kong, and we have KMB bus service in Hong Kong. let's say the driver table will have 10 drivers and the truck or bus table may have 10 buses. So one driver can drive multiple buses, right? So let's say bus number 2 can be driven by multiple buses. This is pretty much true. And since we have 10 buses or 10 trucks, one bus can be driven by multiple drivers. The only difference is that not at a single time. That means one driver can drive multiple buses, but not at the same time. One truck can be driven by multiple drivers, but not at a single time. So now if I give you this problem statement, one bus can be driven by multiple drivers and one driver can drive multiple buses, then you will draw this ERD, this ERD which is in front of you. And if you ask me, is this ERD correct? Yes, this is absolutely correct. So this is the fundamental concept map of your database design for a given business rule. But now that if we have created this ERD that has many-to-many relationship, is this ERD this ERD implementable? Can you implement that? How would you implement a design? We need a model, and in order to implement, the most widely used model is relational database model. In the relational database model, if you try to implement this ERD, this concept as it is, there will be some problems about repetition of the primary key. There will be problems of violating entity integrity rule, right? So we cannot implement this ERD as it is. So this is the ERD is correct. There are no problems. There is no problem in the design, but on the concept level, it is perfectly fine. But from the implementation point of view, this is not correct, right? Let me just give you an example. Um, if you want to create a building, there could be very amazing ideas for it, but how smart a building would be, what would be the design? But then all those designs, are they implementable? That really doesn't depend on your concept, right? From a concept point of view, you can have amazing designs of a particular building, but not all those designs may be implementable, right? Similarly, this design is perfect. There's no problems into it. But from an implementation point of view, we need to twist it a little. We need to change. We need to make it we need to make some variations so we can implement this. And how to do that? The problem is that this many-to-many relationship cannot be implemented directly. So we need to break this many-to-many relationship into one-to-many and many-to-one kind of a relationship. How? First, you need to define the primary keys, and then introduce a bridge table here, which will bring those primary keys here, make a composite primary key, and then add any more columns or information that you want for this bridge table, and then connect it, break it, the many-to-many relationship into one-to-many and many-to-one relationship, right? I hope you would be able to do this. Now, moving to question number 2. In question number 2, we have a problem description, and I will try to follow the rules. The ERD10 rules. So the first, I will read the problem statement again and again so I can have a better concept of this question, so I can understand it. Then the first attempt towards making ERD would be highlighting, making sure that I have selected correct entities. So first step is identifying entities. So this problem statement is, there is an engineering group, a company called Hudson Engineering Group, and they have contacted you as a database engineer and they want you to design sorry, they want you to design a database for them. So how would you design a database for them? So they are providing you some rules, and then they are expecting a superficial, simple ERD, and then you have to show that ERD to them. If your ERD is acceptable, then they will accept your database design. If your ERD is not acceptable, then they might not design. They might not choose choose you for your database for their database design. So, what is the description that they have provided? So the description is that the company has 12 instructors and they can handle 30 trainings per class, right? The group offers advanced technology courses, each of which generates several classes. If a class has a fewer than 10 trainees, so we all have already highlighted trainees, then it will be cancelled. It is therefore possible for a course, we have already highlighted a course, um, not to generate any classes. Each class is taught by one instructor, the class and taught by one instructor. Each instructor may teach up to 2 classes. We have already highlighted that. Each instructor may be assigned to do one or more research. Each research is owned by one instructor. So each trainee may take up to 2 classes per session or may do not take any classes. Now, the potential entities here are, the first is uh, instructor, the second is trainee, the third is courses, the fourth is classes, and the fifth is research. Right? Now, how do we make sure these entities that we have picked up are correct entities? To make sure that the entities that we have just decided are correct entities and they are not false entities, we need to look into relationship between the two entities and make sure that all these entities have complete relationship information, that is left to right and right to left. Just for sake of explanation, consider these lines. Each instructor may be assigned to do one or more research. Each research is owned by one instructor. So this is, if instructor and research, these two lines are giving me complete information from right to left and from left to right? So instructor and research, for this, we are very much sure that these would be entities. Similarly, you have to do this practice if you are not sure that some entities are real entities or fake entities, if you want to differentiate between the two. So once you've done that, now rule number 2 is identifying relationships. There are many ways of identifying relationships. One is drawing a relationship matrix. So let's draw a relationship matrix. All right. So let's try to see uh, one by one. Do we have any relationship? Can we read the problem statement again and identify any relationship between instructor to instructor? So there is no relationship between instructor with itself, but we can see that there is written in the first line that the group has 12 instructors and can handle up to 30 trainee per classes. So trainees per classes, who can handle the group? So we are not going to make group as an entity because we are talking about internal procedures of the group, not a group itself. And who can handle 30 trainees? The group can handle 30 trainees. So trainees do not have a relationship with instructor. Rather, trainee have a relationship with class, right? Then offers 5 courses. And so we are first concentrating on instructors. We are first trying to concentrate on instructors and highlight all the possible relations for it. So instructor to instructor to trainee now. So if a class has more than 10 trainees, it will be cancelled. It is therefore possible, of course, not to generate any classes during each session. Each class is taught by one instructor. So this is class to instructor, not instructor to class. So right now we are at instructor. We will look for relationship for instructor to class. So each class is taught by one instructor. Each instructor may teach up to 2 classes. So I will say teach up to 2 classes, or do not teach, or do not teach, right? All right. So I have written this because I can then complete the sentence. I can go here from the instructor, teach up to 2 what classes, or do not teach what classes, right? Each instructor may be assigned. Each instructor may be assigned to do 1 or more research. So each instructor may be assigned to do 1 or more research, and each research is owned by one instructor. So instructor to research, this is left to right. Each research is owned by one instructor. This is right to left. I will not write that for now. Each trainee may take up to 2 classes per session or do not take any classes. So instructor is complete. Now we will go for training. So 30 trainees per class. So trainees per class, we have roughly 30 trainees per class. And each course may generate several classes. If a class has less than 10 trainees, it will be cancelled. This is about course and the class, not trainees. Each class is taught by one instructor, each trainee take up to 2 classes per session or do not. So this is one point, and may take 2 classes or do not take any class. Do not take any class. All right. So there's no other information about training and research. Now we go for courses. Each may generate several classes. So each course can generate several classes. If the class has less than 10 trainees, it will be cancelled. Or if less than 10 trainees, then cancelled, right? So if a class has fewer than 10 trainees, it will cancel. It is therefore possible for courses not to generate. So either I can say not to generate any classes, right? I can further write here not to generate any classes because it is therefore possible for a course not to generate any class during a session. And I think this is complete. Now we will talk about classes. So for classes, each class is taught by one instructor. So each taught by one instructor, and each instructor may teach up to 2 classes. So that we have already written here. That is instructor to classes. We have already done that. And each, I think this is complete. There's no other information about it. And then we will go to research, that each instructor may be assigned to do more research. We have already written that. And each research is owned by one instructor. Owned by one instructor. So we can relate that. Now we again can cross-check. You can now fill the same by going, right now we are going from row to column, right? We are checking every row. For one row, we are checking information for every column. Now what you can do the reverse job. We can take one column and see the relation for every row. And if the data is duplicated, you may write it, or you may avoid writing it. But if you somehow draw this, it will pretty much give you an idea to draw how your rough ERD would be. Now let me try to draw a rough ERD. Again, I'm going to draw just for your information. It might be a little messy, but it will pretty much give you idea. So if I want to draw, let me see if I convert like this. Right. Yes, it's much better here now. So if I want to draw, first let me write all the entities. So first we have instructor, we have research, we have classes, we have trainees, we have courses. All right. Now, do we have a relationship between instructor and research? If we have it, we will create one line, and then we will try to explain how the relationship is from left to right and right to left. For that, we have already drawn this this relationship matrix. We know that the instructor and research, they both have a relationship, right? They both have it because this is instructor to research, and this is research to instructor, right? So I can write this here as each instructor may be assigned to do one or more research, and each research is owned by one instructor. So this is like this, and this gives you an idea like this, right? Then do we have a relationship between instructor and classes? We can go here. Instructor and classes, yes, we do have a relationship. We can check this, and we can check this, right? This and this. So we do have a relationship of instructor and classes. Sorry. So we have a relationship of instructor and classes. Then do we have relationship of classes and courses? We can check class and courses. Yes, we do have a relationship. Why we have not written here? Each course may generate several classes. Yes, we have the relationship is each course may generate several classes or may and there will be no yes. And each course, each class will be for one course. So we can write here each course may generate or may not generate classes. So this is upwards. And if the trainees are less than 10, we can see this if the train if less than 10 trainees, then no. If less than. And since because it is said each course, so we are pretty much have idea that this will be one, right? And then do we have relationship between classes and trainees? Yes, we have trainees and classes relationship. Why we have not written here? Each trainee may take up to 2 classes. Yes, so it's here. Trainees and classes, do we have a relationship? Yes, we have a relationship. Trainees and classes, we have relationship. And what is the relationship? The trainees may take 2 or more classes or may not take any classes or no classes. 2 or no classes. And what is the relationship of classes per trainee? Each class have 30 or there would be 30 class trainees, then there will be a class, otherwise there will be. So there's like the classes can have many trainees, right? This is this side. And each class is taught by, do we have classes are taught and each instructor can teach up to 2 classes. This is this way. And each class is taught by one instructor. Now, once you have written this, you can now have idea how the relationship is. How is the relationship? So if I say each instructor is assigned to do 1 or more research, so this will be 1 or more research, right? And each research is owned by one instructor. So it's like this. Each instructor can take up to 2 classes. That means many classes. And each class is taught by one instructor. So we have already, with the word each, we have pretty much idea that it's one. Each course may generate several classes, so many classes. Or if the classes have less than 10 trainees, then there will be no classes. Either there will be many classes or no classes, right? Then classes per trainee, 30. So each class have many trainees, 30 or more or 10 or more. And each trainee can take up to 2 or no classes. If it will take more than one, which is many, or no classes. Now, this gives you an idea. This is a rough ERD. So now you can close this in boxes. Now, this gives you pretty much a rough ERD. Now, the third step is making primary keys. So it's up to you. You can create a primary key. Now, check, are the all relations perfect or not? I mean, are they implement, or can this ERD be implemented or not? It cannot be implemented. Why? Because there is one many-to-many relationship here, right? While all other relationships are one-to-many or many-to-one, but this one particular relationship is many-to-many. So first you will make primary keys for each table, and then you will use those primary keys and introduce a bridge table here, right? In which there would be, this bridge table would be classes and trainee, and you will bring the primary key here, bring the primary key here, make a composite primary key, and then you can add one more column or attribute and introduce a bridge table here to break this many-to-many relationship into one-to-many and many-to-one relationship, right? And then you can create more attributes for each table and put a complete attributed ERD, and then recheck if there are any problems. That will be your final ERD. All right. So this gives you a pretty much idea how things look like. So I have drawn this relationship matrix for you. But if you are good enough, you might simply you would be, after practicing 2 or 3 times, you will be in a position that you might not need necessary, you will not feel necessary to draw this, but that comes after practice. And once you are at that level, you can simply draw this ERD directly. How? I will give you an idea right now. Let's move to question number 3. Question number 3 is about a bank that has several divisions. Let me do it like this. A large bank that operates. So first step is identifying um, entities. A large bank that operates several divisions. IT is operated as one of the divisions. The divisions have many departments that are managed by manager. Each manager has may manage more than one department. All IT employees belong to one of these departments. So employee could be another. The IT division appoints employees to one or more ongoing projects. Each project is maybe assigned to more than one employee. A project may be planned but may not have any employee for several months. Each project will have single employee assigned who acts as a project leader. Employee may lead more than one project. Now, so we have divisions here. Divisions have many departments. Each department, each department is managed by a manager, but the manager can manage more than one department, right? The department have employees. The IT division appoints employees on projects. So, and then there is some information about who's going to be a leader. Now, you can, I just draw this, the rough ERD, I just started drawing very directly, right? You can do that once you have a practice, once you're sure that whatever I'm going to make would be perfect. And I'm very sure what are the entities. Now I can start putting some rough relationships. So each division may have several departments, many departments, right? It is going to be managed by one manager, but the manager can operate more than one department. The departments have many employees. Oh, my son is here. He's trying to open the door. Right? And okay, so each project may be assigned to one. So all IT employees belong to one of these departments. So the department may have many employees. The IT division uh, appoints its employee to one or more projects. So it appoints to one or more projects. So that means there are many projects, right? But a project may be planned and may not have. So it is possible that there be no any um, projects or employees on the projects. And the project may have more than one employee. That means many, right? So each department may have many employees. So this is a rough ERD. Now, when I create, did you saw how did I create it? I first make sure what are the entities. Then I draw the entities and start placing a single line if there isn't any relationship. And to define the relationship, I started to put verbs. Sorry, verbs, right? Can manage or managed by many departments or appoint and stuff like that. Once I have put the verbs here, verbs, sorry, verbs here. So then I converted those verbs into relationships. So that is how you start creating. Now, everything is fine. Everything is fine, but you can see there is one relationship which is many to many. This one. This relationship is many to many that needs to be converted into one to many and many to one. And for that, first you need to make sure that there are primary keys. Once you put the primary keys, then you have to introduce a bridge table by putting some composite primary keys and break this many to many relationship into one to many relationship. So for exercise number 4, you have to do it by yourself. I will upload the solution next week. I know this is a bit confusing. I know there would be a lot of confusion and problems when you start to do this. I am expecting that. And I'm expecting that students will approach me if they are finding any difficulty. So I know there should be some problems in understanding, in verifying that is this whatever you're doing is correct or not. And you have to practice this because there is definitely going to be one or more questions from ERD, and it could be sometimes tricky. And how will you, if you practice it just like reading it, it will not help you. You have to take a piece of paper and you have to draw it with your handwriting and do this step by step, everything, follow the 10-step process and then redo it. at least 3 times, then you will have a good understanding how things work. There will be problems, there will be confusions, and wherever you find problems, you just note that, and then once you have a list of questions, you can contact me and we can set up a time and I will be helping you, right? So that's it. If you have any other questions, you can ask me. And if you do not have any questions, then off you go. Is there a difference between one stroke and two stroke? What do you mean by stroke here? I don't understand the stroke thing. Louis? Stroke, what does that mean? In the relation arrow, okay. Do you mean this? Wait. So whatever relations are we using, I'm using Crowfoot notations. So Crowfoot notations mean we have, let me show that to you again. So we are using, so one and only one, we have to use this sign. For one or more, we have to use this sign. For 0 and more, we have to use the sign. And for 0, 1, we have to use this sign. And for many, only many, we will be using, I mean, so for many, we use this sign, this one. Wait. Yes, if there is a one and only one, then you have to do 2 strokes, two perpendicular strokes. That's the standard sign. If you just put one sign, that would be can be misinterpreted and could be considered wrong. There are standards that we have to follow, right? So follow the standards and don't create strokes or signs of your own. We have to follow the standards which are followed everywhere. So for many, it's like this. This is used for many sign. So if there's a relationship which is asking that each or one and only one, so you have to use double stroke. This clarifies that it's one and only one. So if you just say one, this does not clarify anything, right? So make sure you follow the standards. People do often follow like this one, but as for the standard, so this is a casual practice. Using one stroke is a casual practice because sometimes the problem statement, in the problem statement, it is clearly defined that a store is managed by one and only one manager. So people interpret when the problem statement says one and only one, so there are 2 ones, so they will use double sign. And when we say Each department is managed by one manager, so they interpret word each with a single stroke. But we follow uh, standards. So standards is this one. We have to follow, even if it is the word each, or even it is one and only one, we follow this one. So even by mistake in the final exam, or uh, in your assignments, you mistakenly, or you just simply write this one, I will understand that you are trying to say it's one and only one. I will understand that. But it's my job to tell you that this is a standard and this is a casual practice. What is standard is use two strokes. And what is the casual practice, like a norm? It's we sometimes use one stroke. But I will advise you not to use one stroke. Use the standard ones. All right. Any other question? What has Billy shared? Oh, all right. Let me see this. Yeah, as I said, there is a one stroke and two stroke. Um, this is still a casual practice. This is getting de facto a norm, but what standard is the double stroke. Any other questions, guys? All right, so make sure you mark your attendance and off you go. See you in the computer security class. Stay safe. Bye, Billy. Take care. Bye, everyone. Take a good care of yourself.